The world was left reeling in shock when the news broke. Rock legend Ozzy Osbourne was gone. But the real heartbreak came not from the announcement alone. It was Sharon Osbourne's final. Tearful words whispered at his casket that shattered millions of hearts across the globe. What did she say that brought a hush over the entire room? Why, in front of their closest friends and family, did she ask for forgiveness? And what haunting secret had Ozzy kept hidden in his final days? Something only Sharon knew. Stay with us, because what you're about to uncover may change the way you see this iconic couple forever. The thunder of rock and roll fell silent with the death of Ozzy Osbourne. He's famously known as the Prince of Darkness, the powerhouse voice of Black Sabbath, and one of the most electrifying forces in music history. He passed away at 75, and while his death stunned fans, what followed was even more emotionally devastating. During a private funeral service in Los Angeles, filled with tears and heavy hearts, Sharon Osbourne, his wife of over 40 years, delivered a eulogy that was as vulnerable as it was unforgettable. Her words, both a confession and a farewell, weren't merely a goodbye. They were a raw, soul-bearing message to Ozzy and to the world that had watched them both for decades. In this video, we will walk you through the powerful final days of Ozzy Osbourne, how his declining health led to a quiet departure, and the devastating truth behind Sharon's breakdown during the service. You'll hear the never-before-revealed details of the funeral, including the secret note Ozzy left behind, the unexpected celebrity banned from attending, how Sharon's tribute may have revealed a deep, painful regret that lingered throughout their long marriage. You'll be stunned by who showed up, shocked by who didn't. And when you hear what Sharon said beside her husband's casket, it may forever shift how you remember their story. Ozzy Osbourne, once the unrestrained wild man of heavy metal, had battled numerous health issues in private for years. But those close to him noticed a change in the final weeks, not just in his physical condition, but in his spirit. According to insiders, Ozzy had become unusually quiet and withdrawn during the last 2 months. The man who once howled through stadiums was now whispering at the breakfast table. He stopped showing up to physical therapy, began refusing medication, and told his nurse more than once, "I just want to sleep and not wake up." Even Sharon, who had stood beside him through every storm addiction, public scandals, relapses, and near-death experiences, sensed something had shifted. She later said his eyes carried a calm sadness, as if he were already saying goodbye without speaking. In the days before his passing, Ozzy reportedly summoned each of his children, Jack, Kelly, and Amy, in to private conversations. There were no cameras, no press, just soft voices, tight hugs, and long, meaningful silences that said more than words ever could. One of the most heartbreaking moments came when Sharon walked into his room and saw Ozzy quietly sitting in a chair, staring at a family photo from the 1990s. He called those the chaotic but beautiful years. Tears ran silently down his face. He turned to Sharon and whispered, "I'm sorry for what I couldn't fix, but thank you for staying." That night, Sharon canceled all public engagements. She stayed beside him, holding his hand through the night. A few days later, Ozzy passed peacefully in his sleep. No drama, no spotlight. It's just silence and love in the arms of the woman who loved him through his worst. For a man known for explosive entrances and wild chaos, Ozzy Osbourne's final goodbye was surprisingly gentle. But it was the funeral that stunned fans and friends alike. One might have expected a grand rock tribute for one of music's most legendary icons, but Sharon made a different choice. The funeral was small, intimate, and private, only immediate family. No public viewing, no press, no celebrity eulogies. It took place in a quiet English countryside chapel. As Sharon explained, he gave the world everything. "Let us have this one moment just for us." The ceremony lasted just 45 minutes, but what was said during those brief moments left every guest shaken. Jack Osbourne, holding back tears, spoke, not of Ozzy the rock god, but of Ozzy the flawed, struggling father. He revealed that just weeks before dying, his father had apologized for being absent during the hardest years of his life. Jack ended his eulogy with a whisper, "You did your best, Dad." And that was enough. Then came Kelly, Her words brought the entire chapel to tears. She talked about how her father had always been the loudest voice in the room and somehow the most misunderstood. She shared the final voice note he had sent her just 2 days before he died. "You've got your mom's fire and your dad's madness. You're unstoppable. I love you always." But it was Sharon's final goodbye that no one will ever forget. Standing before his casket, stone-faced and trembling, she didn't speak to the crowd. She placed her hand on the wood and softly whispered, "This wasn't supposed to be the end. But maybe this is the peace you never found in life." "Now, my darling," the room fell silent. Even the priest had to pause, overwhelmed with emotion. As Ozzy's body was lowered into the earth, oh, whoa, 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 a solo violin played an instrumental version of "Mama, I'm Coming Home." Sharon had chosen it herself. She said it was the one song that always made him cry. And then, under the calm English sky, the Prince of Darkness was gone. No cameras, no stage, no crowd, just quiet. But the real shock came in the days that followed. Sharon was expected to inherit the majority of Ozzy's estimated $220 million estate. But when the will was unsealed, it ignited a firestorm. Unknown to even those closest to him, Ozzy had secretly rewritten his will just 5 months before his death. And the changes were both shocking and deeply personal. While Sharon remained the executor and kept their properties, over $80 million had been funneled into a private trust for a woman named Margot, name the public had never heard. Rumors swirled that Margot was someone Ozzy had a relationship with in the late 1980s. Even more explosive was the claim that Margot had a son, now in his 30s, and Ozzy confessed in a handwritten letter found with the will, "I was never the man I should have been for you, but no one will silence your truth now. You're my blood. This is your legacy too." Sharon was reportedly blindsided. Multiple sources said she had no knowledge of this alleged son, though she considered challenging the will under UK law. Notarized final will is legally binding, and Ozzy had ensured it was solid. The bombshells didn't stop there. $30 million from Ozzy's offshore account had vanished. Investigators suspect he gifted it before his death, possibly to support his hidden family or fund secret medical treatments. Surprisingly, some familiar names were left out. Zakk Wylde, Ozzy's longtime friend and guitarist, received nothing. Certain grandchildren were omitted. Longtime producers and managers weren't mentioned at all. Legal staff were placed under gag orders. Only fragments of the will leaked to the media, but they were enough to spark lawsuits and intense family drama. Then came Sharon's most unexpected move. Just one day after the funeral, she sat down for a raw, unfiltered interview. No makeup, no lighting. It's just her truth. She spoke about the pain of watching someone you love fade, not just in body but in soul. Ozzy, she said, wasn't afraid of death. He was afraid of the things he had done while alive. In his final days, he made a chilling confession. Sharon said 72 hours before he died, Ozzy asked to be alone with her. Weak, barely able to speak, he whispered, "I did something years ago. Something no one ever found out. If it comes out now, just know I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruin everything." Sharon wouldn't reveal exactly what it was, but she mentioned a party in 1989, a missing friend, and Ozzy's fear that he had somehow played a part in something terrible. Speculation exploded online. Some believed he was referring to a long-forgotten UK club incident involving a missing roadie. The mystery was never solved. Sharon didn't confirm, but her silence spoke volumes. Ozzy had spent years haunted by his past, she said. He feared that when he met God, he wouldn't recognize the man Ozzy had tried to become. He dreaded being remembered as the monster fame and addiction had once made him. In his nightmares, a faceless figure chased him, calling him James, his real name, John Michael Osbourne, as if someone was trying to strip away the myth and find the man underneath before he died. Ozzy left behind a box of sealed letters, including one simply labeled "To the one I hurt most." Sharon hasn't opened it. Even more shocking, Ozzy recorded over 60 hours of video diaries over the last 20 years, confessions to camera he never wanted shared until after he was gone. Sharon has refused to release them, but Netflix, HBO, and BBC are already competing for rights. Fans are demanding answers. Was Ozzy making peace or preparing for one last act of defiance? In the end, Ozzy Osbourne's final performance wasn't thunderous. It wasn't loud. It was quiet, intimate, and heartbreakingly human. Sharon's tribute didn't just honor the rock legend, it revealed the deeply misunderstood man behind the myth. The world saw Ozzy the bat-biting madman. But Sharon gave us Ozzy, the devoted father, the broken soul. The man who begged for forgiveness in the end. Whether you knew him as the godfather of metal, the reality show dad, or the troubled icon who always returned home, Ozzy Osbourne left behind more than a musical legacy. He left behind a story of pain, redemption, love, and raw humanity. What are your memories of Ozzy? Did his music help you through dark times? Were you shocked by the chaos but stayed for the heart? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's remember not just the madness but the man. If Ozzy's journey touched you, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell, because sometimes truth isn't found in noise. Sometimes it's in a quiet. Goodbye. Rest in power, Ozzy Osbourne. You were more than a rock star. You're a storm the world will never forget.